Hello everyone and welcome to an update on Project Ruby again. This time I look at the suspension system. So the cylinder head is all off to the machine shop. I await the results of that kind of work. This block has been honed. I had to go over it again just to get that crosshatch perfect, and I'm happy that that block is now ready to await standard piston rings and the old pistons back in. Fair dues. What problem have I had with Ruby though, other than that? Easy. Coming back from Kent, I might have mentioned that the suspension was squeaking quite a bit from the driver's right hand top mount, and it was squeaking so much it was actually reverberating through the steering. And I thought, ooh, this isn't good. And I've questioned that universal joint, but I think it's okay, because I think the problem is extremely simple. So I'm going to come around here and just show you the problems that I've been having typically. So, hello guys. Now, me not knowing a Mark III suspension system, I didn't realise that the top mount, every car that I've owned, a top mount is part of the strut. So you have to take the strut out and take the spring out, take the top nut off and change the mount, put the new one on and compress the spring and put it all back together and fit it. But in a Mark III, the top mount is actually here. It's actually, you got this 19mm nut under this cap here, which I took off with my impact gun. This platform comes off and the top mount sits between the body, this piece here, and the strut. So literally all I did was I did a few disconnections down below, put my foot on the actual pillar, well the steering knuckle I should say, pushed it on my foot, and I could get enough room to get the seal out, to the mount out, clean it, silicone. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a genuine Ford one. It just needs shutting up as far as I'm concerned. But I could tell because when I was turning it, I took the trap rod end off and I did a few things down there. We did have a few problems. We might be missing a hub nut. That was me. So I've had a bit of a clean up on this side. This arm, that bush and that bush are really good. This ball joint is really good. You might have noticed as well, I've put a new nut in. Yes, I've put a new nut just for the pinch bolt on the ball joint. Ball joint's absolutely fine, no problems with that, no splits or anything. This is fine, put a new split pin in this. This is fine, this trap rod. Again, I've tested movement of everything and I'm very happy. I mean, look at that. I mean, you've got the original red paint on the spring and shock absorbers. I'm not going to replace them until they actually give me a problem, and I've concluded that from this. But there's a big problem with this side that the other side doesn't have. This drive shaft is absolutely seized to the hub. It's seized to the spline. That is not good. No matter how much of hammering and air punching, Jesus, that is not coming off. So the only time that I'm going to get a new hub nut, because I've butchered that. So I've got another one. I'll put that up, torque it up, and the only time that is going to be disturbed is if the bearing starts going on me, or the CV boot starts going on me. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, because this is a genuine one and it's absolutely fine. The genuine boots last almost forever unless you neglect them. Really, honestly, they are made of that good rubber. But I managed to push the whole thing down, sort this out, and then I pushed it back up and torqued it. Well, I didn't torque it, I just gunned it until it was the same number of threads showing as the other side. So I counted 7 threads and I counted 7 here and it started spinning. Brilliant, fantastic. That's been gunned up into position. And actually, when you turn the steering, because I took the trap rod off and I turned the whole knuckle, it shut up. That could be a very cheap fix. However, I'm going to pass you to this side. Hello. Oh dearie, dearie me. What's been going on here, Andrew? Well, I had a look on this side because, again, I wanted to repeat the same on this side, and I did, but I looked at everything else. And I'm happy with the brakes and the way they've bedded in, and yes, we're a bit wobbly. Because this side came out absolutely fine. Yes. Why did this side come out fine? Well, number one, if you are working on your suspension or anything to do with components underneath your knees, basically, below your knees on a car, don't assume because that side came off well that the other side will. So top tip on that one, suspension included. But this car did go to the garage, and I'm convinced a professional did this. They must have absolutely made a racket. I can't do it here because I think one or two of my neighbours might be annoyed by the amount of banging I did earlier. I might just take this car to the garage and say, can you just punch that drive shaft free, make as much noise as possible, and once you've got it free, put it back in, put the hub nut back on, and I'll take it away and I'll give you a drink, because I think it will come off, but it needs professional intervention in a workshop environment where I'm not going to annoy the neighbours, and quite frankly I don't want to at this moment in time. I've made enough noise as it is. So this side has come off, but why was this side disturbed? Easy. This had an advisory for a CV boot that had cracked remarkably. A genuine one that had cracked, presumably. Oh, what a pity. So they replaced it with a crappy one that's now in the bin of shame, because that started cracking. I've just noticed cracks around it. Oh, so this bugger here, I mean, I'm going to try and not punch it off, because some people will say just knock it off. This is the original CV joint, and these are high bloody quality. I want to preserve it. There's no problems with that joint whatsoever. So what I'm going to try and do is use my my CV boot compressor tool. It may not open wide enough. With the Rover, I had to give up and knock the joints off. So I've got to bang this out and bang it past the CV. I might have to take it out the gearbox and then have a load of gearbox oil go everywhere. But I'll think about that. But it might be that I'm going to try and get a really, really good quality CV boot, because I just bought bloody cheap. It's rubbish. So that it's not going in. This car's not going anywhere, so I'm not in a rush. So I'll get round to doing that at some point. This gun, by the way, the more I use this heater inductor gun, as you can see, I've burnt some of the coils because I've got carried away. Goodness me, this thing does. The insulation burns, and then you have to replace the coils. But to be honest, the only thing that will do is it will make this work a bit harder. But it might short circuit, so I will have to replace them. But for the value that has given me, I mean, this bolt came straight out. I know that bolt comes out. I know that this comes out. And I know that these two buggers come out. One there and one there. Two bolts, one there and one there. Fine. Pinch bolt came out absolutely fine as well. They're all in there, ready to be cleaned, and they can probably need some. They need some new locking nuts. But I detected a bit of a problem with this side. These are the genuine Ford ones. I'm going to get something done with this, but this has got a yeah, I noticed this. I didn't actually do this, by the way, but this ball joint is quite stiff, which is a good sign. That ball joint's fine, but these are not. Now, some people, you can push these out and get new ones fitted, but then you've still got that one, and to be fair, that's a horrible job. So I'm going to replace this entire arm. Sadly, you can't get these anymore, but I'll try. But this joint is the worst one. Look at that. Honestly, it's completely shot. There wasn't much movement in these, I have to say. It's gone on that side as well. This one is terrible. I mean, it's supposed to flex like that, but as you can see, it's gone. I've got to be honest, I think my Rover's got worse train arm bushes than that, to be honest. And it is like, that is a train arm bush. That one's very different. That one is definitely like a train arm bush, but look at that, it's completely shot. And it's an easy enough part to replace, he says. Once he got the two bolts out, they wanted to spin against each other because it's a bolt and a nut, but it's typical to many Fords. Most people can whip these out quite quickly. However, on a car that's 35 years of age, I needed that 100%. I couldn't get my impact gun in. I didn't want to. I did it the old-fashioned way with hand tools and that. A bit of heat, penetrating, you name it. So this is definitely going to go, not in the bin of shame, but it's done its time. But it could be the original to the car. I've got a feeling it isn't. These Fiestas were very well known for knocking their ball joints out quite a bit. And because this is a complete arm, I suspect this might have been changed, let's say 20 years ago. So it's probably not the original. I very much doubt it. As I say, these Fiestas have a habit of knocking their ball joints out. It was quite a common thing, particularly if it's a diesel actually. This is a heavier car because it's got the 1.4 and the CTX, so it's much heavier at the front and it's going to put more pressure on the ball joints. Even for the mileage, I doubt that this is the original 50,000 mile one, personally. Could be though. I've got no proof. But anyway, I'm going to leave this here and just share what I've done. A new arm will be going on and I'll get the boot sorted at the same time. But really, honestly, I don't think we've got any more problems. The only thing it could be, particularly with the steering and the graunchiness I was getting, it may not be the top mount. It might actually be the little bearing that is part of the strut. It's just a little bearing piece. It's not very big at all. So I'll monitor that and see. Well, I won't know until I actually get this car on the road. Which will be some months off, so no problems. And I've also discovered another problem. Yes, one of the earth points decided to come off its crimp, so it's just one of these little crimps here. This one's absolutely fine, but this one has kind of twisted itself off, and that's probably me doing a bit of that and disconnecting the battery. You might have noticed the battery tray has been done up again. Yes, I wasn't happy the way I did it last time. And I have put engine block enamel down there. I'm very, very happy. That's looking superb. Right, guys, I'm packing up. I'm going in, and I know what I've got to play with. I know what's good, and I know what's not good. This suspension, I think this suspension can go on for many more years with some new parts. As I say, the bottom arm on that side is also a Ford one, but it's in much better condition than that, so I'm not going to change it. I'm going to be very economical because my money is being sucked up by the cylinder head at the moment, and it needs to go into that and not this. If it was a case of I couldn't afford, you know, I had to put, let's say, one of these will probably cost me about 40-50 quid, possibly brand new. If I couldn't afford that, I'd have left this on the car knowing I'll come back to it and just hopefully it will get, that would pass an MOT, 100%. That would pass. It would pass on an advisory. It was an advisory on the last, well, not the last MOT, the one before it. My MOT tester is a bit more lenient because this is the thing with MOTs. A lot of my cars go through with very minor issues, and it's because I've got a good MOT tester, and he doesn't, and it's not one of the ones that have a drink or some money off me. No, that's not how it works. But I'll tell you how it does work. He takes the age of the car into perspective. That is nothing for a 35-year-old car. So that is an advise only. It can be given verbally. Oh, did you know, guys, with MOTs, a little tip before I end this video, MOT testing standards. You can ask for your advisories to be given verbally. If your MOT tester doesn't know that, tell him to look it up in his book. It will say it. You can be asked to be given your advisories verbally. You say it at the start of the test. So it's not written down on paper. It looks better if you're trying to move the car on, put it that way. So instead of looking at advisories, you're looking at absolutely nothing. There you go. Take care, guys.